Smartphones are such a commonality in our world today that perhaps we don't oftentimes think about the history of its presence. But there was a time, in the world where we didn't have smartphones, and that perhaps that was long ago, but times have changed, and the dominance, I would say, of technology has definitely increased. And it might be fun for somebody like myself who's not as invested, growing up in learning about the history of a smartphone and more so just approached it from, it's a device that provides functions that I need in life. It might be interesting for me to learn or to get a deeper knowledge on it, and BlackBerry might provide that. I'm curious to engage with it. It's an IFC Films release. I've looked at a couple of their projects before, and I've been quite impressed with them. The talent here, I'm not as familiar with many of the names I'm seeing, though I'm sure maybe they're well-known over circuits. Oh, Cary Elwes is in this. I know him. He's been in a lot of work lately. Fan of his, though maybe not all his projects have gone that well. I'd say in recent offerings like Black Christmas I thought was terrible, but the Hyperions was good, and he was in that. And here's another project he's in too. I think it's a Jason Statham one I still have yet to look at. Maybe I'll look at later tonight. I don't know. But BlackBerry. Let's look at it. If you're not familiar with the project, like I said, it's basically the history of a smartphone, very specified to the BlackBerry phone, which I'm not very familiar with. I'm more an iPhone guy. So this is what you can expect for the project. It's pretty straightforward in what I already gave you, but this is what IMDb says. The story of the meteoric rise and catastrophic demise of the world's first smartphone. Again, I don't know the backstory to BlackBerry, so this is very much a fresh encounter. Just not with the phone as well, but the backstory of it. And maybe, speaking broadly on this, it will illuminate some of the history of the smartphone generally. I mean, if BlackBerry was indeed the first, I thought iPhone was the first. I guess I'm wrong. It's brand prominence, though. I mean, Apple, you certainly think it with how long they've been in the tech business. Anywho, if you're not familiar, again, with the historical story, let's take a look at BlackBerry and engage it as a work. But again, as I said, IFC Films, I'm pretty familiarized with them at this point. I'm sure it'll be good, or at least competently portrayed. We'll judge the project, I guess, from a more informed perspective in a minute.
Yeah, what can I do for you?
Okay, picture a cell phone and an email machine all in one thing. There is a free wireless internet signal all across North America, and nobody has figured out how to use it.
At the time, everyone's like why do I think of that?
Sorry, have you seen Star Wars?
No.
That guy is sketchy. I don't think he's sketchy. The guy's
It's funny to reflect on this journey of the smartphone, especially from a future perspective of where we're sitting right now.
And I've got to be CEO.
I don't know who you think you are, but
Deal.
are you joking?
I like the non-static camera. It's a good cinematic choice in my opinion. Gives it some life.
We are in a race to get this thing to market, and we are a year behind.
And a bit different from other works that go down the biographical line, especially around technology, from what I've seen.
Saying perfect is the enemy of good.
Well, good enough is the enemy of humanity.
What do you call it?
It's called a BlackBerry.
Try typing with your thumbs.
Get this baby in the hands of every Fortune 500 executive you could.
Like I said, I'm not as familiarized with the journey of the BlackBerry phone, but I know what it looks like. I've seen it in many pictures and stuff.
Doug, come with us, sir.
In some stores as well, come to think of
You
it.
need to sacrifice. And the more painful the sacrifice, the greater you'll be.
If we put more phones on these networks, they're going to crash.
Is this legal?
You need to sell 1 million BlackBerries.
I like the personality of the cast here.
In the middle of a hostile takeover!
Of course, Apple would be doing that.
You know what the sentence is for multi-million-dollar stock fraud.
What are you doing?
I'm doing it all.
You guys have no idea how to run a company.
What's happening, man? I created this entire market. You said they were the best engineers in the world.
I said they're the best engineers in Canada.
What are they paying you? I shouldn't say. They're paying me $10 million. Yeah, me too.
I get a bit of a vibe watching this project of, I forget the name of it at the moment, but that Eisenberg cast Zuckerberg movie. What was that? I think it was called The Social Network. Pretty good film if you never saw it. I watched it a couple years ago, so maybe there's parts of it I'm forgetting. The reason I specified earlier about the mobile camera, I don't know, I was thinking, just again, like I said, I got a vibe here of that project, and from what I remember, most of that film was portrayed in static shots, which was fine. I'm not dissing it in any way, but it did feel, it sounds bad to say like, oh, it's only strictly static shots. It wasn't. There were a couple other variations thrown in, but this felt much more mobile. It had a bit of a different personality, at least when I watched it, that felt fresh and not necessarily as repeated lately. In other works along the biographical, historical line, maybe centered around technology as well. And as a business thriller, I think that's what I would call it, or business/tech thriller/informative journey, biographical work. I'm impressed with it. Like I said, I see films boast a competence for me in terms of what I've consulted that going in, I'm like, okay, I'm sure it's going to be quite engaging. Carrie Elways is in it, again, big draw for me. And I'm interested to learn about the history of a smartphone. I think the presentation here, the levity in terms of the dialogue, the casting seems great. Everything's working for me. So in terms of first engagement, when does this release? April 28th. Okay, so I'm looking, yeah, this will probably be the only trailer it gets, I would imagine, given the limited duration of time in between that. Maybe there'll be another one. If so, I'll look at it again. But on a first glance, I'm impressed with it. I'll definitely take a look at BlackBerry in the future, I'm sure, in terms of a full film release. I mean, in theaters, how wide of a distribution is this going to get? Maybe it's going to be on streaming. I don't know. Do I see films? Some of them might go into the theaters. Others might have a bit of a different debut, especially these days. It's so mixed. I'm not necessarily speaking completely in regards to IFC, but generally in terms of the film cinema landscape. If it does make it into theaters, maybe I'll try and watch it, or maybe I see more of a possibility of me watching it on streaming. At some point, I will definitely watch it, though. I'm driven to. I would love to hear more about the journey of BlackBerry, especially when Apple jumps in. Of course, they're the ones that are the main competitor. Of course they are. And I say that as an Apple guy. I'm not surprised. What are your guys' thoughts of BlackBerry, especially for those of you, maybe this is the first engagement? I think I'm looking at the trailer the day it debuted, in fact. So for many of us, I'm sure this is going to be a very recent outlook on it. Feel free to let me know your thoughts down below if you wish to disclose your perspective, but I'm definitely engaged to watch it. Again, at some point, however I choose to and however it is released, I will definitely give it a go. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.